Today, we're diving into finance certifications, especially the CFA and CPA, two highly recognized credentials in the finance industry. So, we'll explore the common career paths for both, assess their difficulty levels, and provide very transparent information about typical salary ranges, and we will help you determine which certification might be the best fit for you. Let me invite our special guest today, David 14. Okay, let me bring you on the stage.
Hello.
Yeah, okay.
Hi,
Joining us
Charlene.
today is the special guest, David 14. He's the Chartered Professional Accountant, CPA, based in Canada. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. How you doing?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and
Good.
just for everyone, if you're new to my channel, my name is Charlene Kong. I'm a chartered financial analyst based in Zurich, Switzerland. And so we will use our own experience as a CPA and CFA to answer as many questions as usual people may have regarding the two certificates today. So, David, without further ado, can I ask you, for CPA for accountants, I think is really the top certification that you can get if you really want to work in, accounting this industry. So, what are the, apart from accounting, or let's just take a step back, what are the common career paths for CPA in general, like in Canada and globally?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So I'll try to be as clear as possible. So here in Quebec, we have some school. When you're like 16 years old, you get into you can either do like a technical program or like a pre-university. So I did 3 years into technical accounting. So that's where you learn, basics, debit and credit, what's an asset, what's a liability, how to do data entry. You learn a few tools. So that's the path that I actually took. But I could have went, like natural science where you learn biology, mathematics, and continuation of high school, and then you get into university. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a common path for both CFA and CPA, basically administration studies. So we do 3 years of university here in business administration, basically, and then one of these 3 years are actually a common path. Everybody does the same courses, and then on year two you choose a specialization, and there are a lot of specialization here in Canada, in Quebec. There are actually accounting, which I took because I'm a CPA, and there's finance, which you need to take if you want to be a CFA, and there is a fiscalist, and there are other different, there's a lot of different specializations in business administration. So you take the accounting path, 3 years of university bachelor degree, then you can stop there, and you have a business accounting administration
Mm-hmm.
degree, and you can work in different businesses. There's a lot of people that stop there, but if you want to go one step more, you can do 1 year. I don't know what's the exact name here in Canada, but let's say a master in accounting. It's only a
Mm-hmm.
year. It's a specialist program, so you get a certification. So you do 4 months of school, extra school, then you go
Mm-hmm.
back 4 months working for a job, so you get like an internship. I went to PWC, Price Waterhouse Coopers, which is one of the big four accounting firm, which is EY, Deloitte, KPMG, and PWC, which are worldwide. And so I went there for 4 months, and then you go back at school for another 3 or 4 months. You study very hard for a 3 days exam that is actually pretty intense. It's pretty hard. We can get into this a little bit later if you want, but that's the
Yeah.
typical process. You work for 2 years, and then you eventually, if you have passed this exam, you pass the exam, then you work for 2 years, then you have your license. So I have it on my wall here. I could probably
Mm-hmm.
bring it, but I see it right now. I see my permit or license number with my name on it. It's signed by some people that I actually never met, but so
Okay.
that's the process basically. So you go to school, you work, you pass the exam, 3 days exam, super stressful. It's more like a test of,
Mm-hmm.
of your mindset, or like if you're confident in yourself, and if you studied enough, you'll pass it. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, for example, for CFA, right? If I talk about the career paths,
Hmm.
I would say a lot of them, we end up in the wealth management industry, wealth
Yeah.
management, private banking industry, or asset management industry. Basically, what does it mean by saying asset management industry? Is like you manage portfolio, you manage assets on behalf of your clients. And your clients, it can be institutional clients, for example, like pension funds, right? And
Hmm.
insurance companies, and it can be private banks, it can be individuals as well. So that by that I say asset management industry. So I do see a lot of people after completing CFA, they work in this banking overall, private banking
Hmm.
industry, and asset management industry. So
Yeah.
you just mentioned it's really great that you mentioned, like you work in PWC for quite a few
Yeah.
years, right, after graduation. So my question is like, is it fair to say that, for example, most people after completing
Hmm.
CPA, they go to Big Four, those Big Four accounting firms, or do they go to in-house or any other, any typical jobs that
Yeah,
people have after
that's a
or
super
particular
great
industry? Mm.
That's a super great question. So it's a little bit, I'll try to make it kind of simple, but like here in Canada, before, I think like 5 years ago, it was split. So you had actually three choices. You were not only a CPA, you were like a CPA auditor, you were a general accountant, CGA, or you were a
Oh
CMA,
gosh.
chartered management accountant. So there you had three paths. And they were
Okay.
like, it's too complicated. They do different certifications. So they
Oh,
tried
okay.
to bring it
Mm.
together. So that's why right now I'm only a CPA, because everyone that had any of these three title, they had a CPA title now, so they just merged it
Mm.
because it was too complicated for people, and people not in the field, even people in the field. So you had like more people that did, more management stuff. So maybe they were
Mm.
more going to corporate world. You had the auditors that were doing straight up only audit, and they had a requirement to do like, I don't know, 4,000 hours, I don't know, 2,000 hours of audit to get their title.
Mm.
Now, what they did is like, there's no more requirement. You don't need to go to audit to get your CPA. So, right now, like in my time, I was on the edge of like the merge. So, it was still, there was a requirement of being at least 1 year into an accounting firm, big or small, whatever. You just needed to have someone that was doing audit with you. So, it's kind of
Mm. Mm.
changing. It's still changing, I would say. But a lot of my friends, actually all of my friends, we finished university. I finished in 2016, just to give you
Mhm.
an idea about my age. I'm like 30 years old. So
Okay.
no, but just to give you like an idea, I think right now it really depends. So I did
Mm.
3 years of audit. I could have went only 1 year and then moved to corporate world. I think a lot of the people that want to do more management accounting, like former
Mm.
CMAs, they will go
Okay.
more into corporate world. They want to calculate how much it costs to do furniture like this, like, how many
Yeah.
you need to make to
Mhm.
get break even, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's really interesting because you mentioned there are different like path, right? Like CPA, CMA. The other one is auditing CAA.
It's, yes,
Yeah.
CGA. It was CGA,
CGA.
general accountant, before. Now it's all
Okay.
merged. Yeah.
So what I wanted to say is for CFA, I mean, just wanted to also give everyone a background,
Yep.
some background information is that for CFA across the board, across the globe, that's the standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
We learn, for example, we call it GAAP, right? We also learn some accounting stuff,
Yep.
within CFA program. But
Mhm.
no matter if you take CFA program in Hong Kong, where I took where I did my
Yeah.
CFA, or in China, or in Japan, or US, Canada, Switzerland, where I am now, it's the same curriculum, same books, same textbooks, same,
Mm.
all the same. So for CPA, actually at the very beginning when you mentioned CPA in Canada is Chartered professional accountant instead of
Yeah,
chartered public accountant, right?
yeah,
So the
exactly.
wording that you use also is different from how I understand. I think
Mhm.
today I learned a lot from learn a lot new information from you as well. So my
Mhm.
question is, in which countries you know a CPA certificate more recognized and valued? And so basically, you said in in different countries, the systems are all different. Is it fair to say that?
Yes, and I think the main reason is that the oh my God, I'm so far from accounting now. But it's the how you the referentials of financial statements, like in the US
Mm.
they have the US GAAP, the US GAAP, and in
Yeah,
Canada it's
exactly.
IFRS, international,
IFRS,
yeah,
exactly. I also
IFRS.
learned it within CFA program, like level one, level two. It's different.
Yeah,
Like
so
global, one is global, one is US, right? Yeah.
So it's really
Uh-huh.
different. Like when I was at PWC, we had clients in the state, and all the audit tests that we
Mm-hmm.
were doing, especially if you're public in the states, it's like
Yeah.
way more tests than like in Canada or somewhere else. So you have IFRS. I'm kind of far from this. Like my audit background is kind of
Mm-hmm.
far. I'm now into like a corporate job and YouTube. So I don't want to talk too
Yeah.
much about that, but
Mm-hmm.
the differences are kind of important, and they can really impact how you account for stuff. It's really, really having a big impact on your financial statements. So that's why I'm guessing that's why there are different, in the States, they're going to learn things specific to their states. So we had a client, for instance, he
Mm-hmm.
was in Maryland in the states, and he was
Mm-hmm.
constructing big electrical lines, and the
Okay.
electrical lines, it was crossing the whole state. It was
Uh,
going all the way through New Jersey, so
mm-hmm.
what he had to do, it was really crazy because all the taxes were different from a state to another, but his project was connecting two states together, so he had to handle the project differently from a state to another. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
all that kind of stuff, which doesn't happen really much here in Canada because there's not a lot of states. Like it's they're
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
big, but in the states there's so many small states that and
Yeah.
the rules there and the laws are different. So
Quite
that
different,
was
right?
yeah, that was a funny one.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
think that's really interesting because, for example, CFA program is a global program, like I mentioned, is very consistent across different
hmm,
countries, different regions. For example, when I relocate from Hong Kong to
yeah,
Zurich in 2022, so before I was in a Hong Kong CFA society. We have different community, we call it
yeah,
society, and then I just immediately quit that society and rejoined the society in Zurich, Switzerland. So where they host, regular events, after work drinks, and then, it's pretty much, I would say, if I want to work in the finance industry in Zurich, continue to work here, there's no problem that I don't need to take any further exams. Maybe
hmm,
you need to take, for example, if you're a trader or a financial advisor, you need to take some additional exams, which wouldn't be too difficult, as say. But for
yeah,
CFA, I don't need to take any more exams. So my question for
yeah,
you, David, is that, for example, imagine now you are a CPA in Canada. If you want to
yeah.
work in the US or come to Europe, do you need to do a whole different set of exams again, all over again, or?
Yes, I think
Mhm.
so. Every state in the state, like you can't be a CPA both in California and Colorado. Like,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if there have like some kind of agreements, like, hey, our
Mm-hmm,
rules are
mm-hmm.
similar. You're CPA in both, but I know for a fact that like the partners at PWC where I was working, when they had clients in specific states, in order to sign the financial statement saying, hey, we audited that and stuff, they needed to have specific CPA in some states. So I don't know what it implies. I am wait, my
Mm.
camera lost focus here. And so I'm not sure why yeah, I'm not sure why it so why it implies which exams they need to do, but I know that it's a thing for fact. They really need to adapt. They need to do a little level up. I would say. I don't know. I don't know how to say that, but
Okay.
to be in really
Work
able
in
to
another
practice in this
country.
state. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now let's focus on exams,
Yeah,
themselves. For CFA, I think, because I haven't really taken CPA, I don't know how hard, how difficult it is. But I would say across the board,
yeah,
CFA definitely has a reputation of, really difficult. It's a really difficult exam. It has three levels, level one, level two, level
yeah,
three, and then you need 4 years relevant work experience after passing CFA level one, and you can call yourself a CFA charter holder.
yeah,
So people say one thing that's quite funny for CFA exams is that there was a news piece online a few months ago. They said Chat GPT today they couldn't pass all the three levels of CFA exams. They can probably pass level one. It says I think that there was um news article on Bloomberg, and then it said level one probably yes, but level two or level three, even ChatGPT couldn't pass it. So my question to you, David, is
yeah.
like, how difficult? I know you you haven't done CFA as well, so you cannot compare the
No,
two.
but
But just like compare with maybe something else, like your
yeah.
experience when you study
Hmm.
in school. How difficult is
So
CPA exam?
yeah, that's a great question. And I
Mhm.
think like the pass rate is kind of high. I think it's like 80 to 85%. One thing that I want to mention though, I'm not too sure about that because I'm far from school now, but I
Mm.
actually think, not sure, but it will need to be validated, that they are actually removing or really changing significantly the CPA exam starting in 2025. I will need to double check that. I was just popping Google right now to see if I could find
Mm.
something quick. There seems to have like solid changes in the way they evaluate you, and I think that it's a big statement. That's rough
Mm.
to it's always hard to evaluate someone because if you only take 3 days of this person's life, you don't know what's happening. Maybe someone died in his family, maybe like
Oh,
maybe
okay.
it's a bad mindset and it's really intense. So the exam is like 3 days, so you get there on the
Mm,
first day, it's 5 hours that you
okay.
sit there. You can,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't, to answer your question, I don't think I don't think ChatGPT will pass the exam because it's really, you have to understand the business, and it's really like you will talk to someone like, hey, can we fix your
Yeah.
business this way? I have three toxic bosses, and it was actually this my specific year. You add a toxic
Mm,
boss in a company, and you add to understand that the boss was
okay.
actually toxic, and like what
Yeah,
will you
yeah.
do, who will you talk to, do we try to fire her, like what's the
Okay.
impact on the
It
company
says
productivity.
ChatGPT passed the CPA exam on second attempt. Means like the first attempt it failed. Okay.
That's not
Yeah.
bad actually. But yeah,
Uh,
so how the exam works right now in Canada, first
mm,
day you have 5 or 4 hours. I think it's 4 hours actually, where it's
mm,
like a general business, and you have to identify
mm,
the issues. You do a SWOT analysis, what's going on. You try to fix the business. That's the
mm,
first day.
mm.
The second day, it's day two. It's where you get into more your, okay, do you know your accounting standards? Do you know like how to account for specific type of revenues? How do you calculate goodwill depreciation or amortization? So that kind of stuff, goodwill
Mm.
impairment. So it's and then here you go. You have 5 hours. You need to fix as much problems as you have. You have like 30 pages of text you read through.
Oh
So it's like
gosh.
a business case.
5 hours of exam
Yeah,
for each.
straight. Yeah, nonstop. Yeah.
Okay.
And then day three,
Non-stop.
it's nonstop. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Wow.
day three, it's a race. So it's basically there's like it's I think it's 3 hours or four. Can't
Mm,
remember.
mm,
It's been a
mm,
while. And then it's like three different small cases. Some are like nine. So you have the timestamp at the top. Like this one you should take 90 minutes. This one you should take 60 minutes, and this one you should take.
mm.
And then it's straight up a race. You need to understand fast, and you need to get straight to the point. Like I'm 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 blessed. Like type really fast because I gamed a lot. at video
Mm,
games, so I type really fast on my keyboard. So I was like, and it really helped me. But that I think
okay.
that's where it was. Like you need to understand fast, and I think it's
Yeah.
kind of representative of the reality. Like, but not at the same time. Because like if you ask me what's the income tax rate of a
Mm,
specific company, I can take my books and go check or Google. That was not the case. You had to go really fast. You had to know it by heart, and sometimes you have time to to understand and to think about it in real life, while in the exam you don't really have time. It's
yeah.
timed, and so that's really hard to evaluate anyone in any field. I think, like, I think about the doctors. They have like surprise, and then they need to get evaluated on that specific uh,
Mm,
patient or
mm,
client, and like it's always hard to determine like what's the best way of evaluating someone. If I go to the pass rates of the exam, they're kind of high at CPA, because I think it's
mm.
maybe because when you do the exam in your process, I know a lot of the CFAs, they do it like while they're full-time working. Correct
Yeah,
me
most of
if
us. Yeah, yeah,
and the CPA, we
exactly.
do it straight up when we're still at work. So we do it full time, like with a laser focus.
Quite
And
focused.
now
So you can
it's more of,
focus, right? Mm,
yeah, it's more of a game too. Like if you understand the game, that you need to be fast. Like historically, in the 5 past year, there was a question on revenues. There will be a question on revenues. This is important for accountants, how to know, like, to account for revenues. So there will be one. Here are the different situations. So I think we're really prepared. But I think like back in the days when it's like handwritten and stuff, it was really the pass rate were really below what they are right now. But I think the CFA pass rate are still like 40%,
yeah, it's
39%.
like
Yeah,
40%,
like
39,
80%. Yeah,
42,
yeah,
something.
yeah.
But yeah, I know. I mean, CPA also has a really, has a reputation of being very, very difficult as well.
Yeah, I
And
mean, it's fine for me. I want to kind of have a standard of like these get, but
yeah,
it's like everything. You'll have some
yeah,
CPA that are not really performant. You'll have
mhm,
some regular accountant that are really good. It all depends where you put your priorities in life. If you're really determined of
mm,
like having a great career, you're sharp. A
mm.
title is just a title. It means you went through
Yeah,
the process,
kind of just a
you
title.
succeeded. So I don't put too much. I'm really proud of my certification, and it made me
Mm,
who I am. And my hard work at
yeah,
PWC, it
for
paid off.
sure. Yeah.
And but at the end of the day, we're all humans, and it's just a certification.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's so cool that you mentioned some tips and tricks, to help our audience to pass the exams as well. I think let's talk about something, I think, something exciting. Let's talk about the salary. I
Yeah,
think
sure.
since you are in Canada, I'm currently in Zurich, Switzerland,
Yep.
and I also used to work in Hong Kong. Maybe we can have a comparison, like we mentioned. You know, like actually, when I talked to David earlier, David said, "Oh, I'm an open book. I'm very transparent."
Yeah.
I love transparency. I think me too. I think by doing this, by disclosing really, by those people who don't really mind sharing, at the end of the day,
Hmm.
we can achieve equal work, equal pay. I think that's a great way to do so. So I'm also kind of like a person who is really for this kind of idea, instead of just hiding, oh, how much you earn, how much
Oh
I earn.
yeah.
So, okay, David. So, would you mind telling us, like based on your
Sure.
own experience or the experience that like your friends' experience, your family
Yep.
experience who have a CPA certificate, based on their probably working experience or different industries, how much
Yeah.
do they, earn?
Yeah, so I started in 2016.
Mhm.
It was I'm going to do the conversion in US dollars, just so it's more a little bit more universal. But in
Yeah.
2016, January 2016, I was earning 34 Canadian dollars, which is 24 US right now with the current conversion rate of 1.37. That's really accounting, when you when you
Mm-hmm.
underline the conversion rate. So that was 34K Canadian dollars, 24K in 2016. 1 year after, I was actually only 2K more. So like 36 Canadian dollars, maybe, I don't know, 26 US dollars. So that was 1 year.
26K US dollar.
26K, yeah, 26K US dollar as of 2017. I think
Mm,
right now, if I do the comparison, I still have some friends working in PWC and everything. I think the
mm, mm,
intern that get there, they are probably more around 34K when they get in because of COVID, inflation, the salaries. They didn't have the choice to like you can't even live
mm,
with that salary. So I was I think I'll go in Canadian dollars, going to be easier for me. But 34,
mm.
then 36, then the year after it was 48, so kind of a big jump. So 12K more on
After you become a senior associate or manager or
yeah,
like
it was a senior
PwC? Yeah.
associate, but I still didn't
Okay.
have my CPA title yet because you pass the exam, you need
Okay.
to wait 2 years or work 2 years and have the required hours to get the title. But it doesn't
Mm,
change
mm.
anything in a accounting firm. And
Okay.
then
So
I
the big
went
takeaway is after senior associate, you get a big jump in
Yeah,
terms
I
of
think
pay.
manager you get
Okay.
even a bigger jump, but
Oh,
it's a lot
okay.
of hours, like it's different. Like if you
Mm,
want to
mm,
work a lot, don't go. And I think we talk about that a little bit later. But if you want to work a lot, don't go into PwC or like a big four accounting firms. You'll work a lot. I think it's true for any accounting job. Anyways, I'll
yeah,
keep on the
yeah,
salary, but like year one it's 34, year two it was 36, then 48 year three. Then I bailed. I went to corporate job. I went from 48 to 58, so plus 10 by jumping. And then
yeah.
it's where it really started booming. I switched into another corporate job, which is a SaaS company, software as a service. So, tech
Mm,
company.
mm,
It was during COVID. I jumped from 58 to 72, straight up, boom. And then 72 the year after, or 2 months after, it was like 80. And then fast forward to today, it was 110 Canadian
So
dollars.
you are talking about Canadian, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
dollars.
so 110 Canadian dollars is 80 USD, 80K USD.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can they always told me in 5 years you can double. That's what they told us at school and that's true. So if you join
Mm-hmm.
your first job at 40K USD, 5 year
Mm,
after, odds are you're going to be at 80K. And that's pretty much true. That's pretty much true. Give or
mm,
take. And it depends again. So as for my friends, I think at 110K, I was a little bit higher than all of my friends, especially that was in corporate world and I was doing less hours than them. People are
yeah.
in big four accounting firm were doing probably the same salary or a little
Mm.
bit less, but by the hour, it was not the same case. They were doing 60 hours. I was doing 40 the big weeks. So
Okay.
I worked two
And you don't
weekends
get
during
do you have overtime pay for at PwC? So for example, if you work
No,
for
no, 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 no.
hours,
You
they don't pay you extra.
you
Okay.
worked 50 hours and you get paid 37.5. That's the deal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's so by the hour it's like below minimum wage. We actually add a a like there's a minimum wage here in Quebec, Canada, and we
Mm.
actually add a report, I know I said a form that if you ever get paid below minimum wage, they can adjust it actually and give it you back. Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. But I'm glad I did it because I it
Yeah,
gave me some work ethic, some work procedures and process and
yeah.
everything. So yeah, I'm glad I did it. But yeah,
And
roughly speaking, after 5 years, I think you can expect doing six digits, maybe a little bit less, maybe if you're lucky. I don't know. Yeah.
and how about in the United States? Do you have any insight there? Like any
I
friends?
actually I actually don't know. I think
Mm.
it really depends where you live, right? Because I'm talking about
Yeah, yeah,
Quebec.
yeah.
Quebec is not that expensive. If I go to
Mm, mm.
Vancouver, I'm pretty sure it's more. Actually, I have one
Yeah,
friend in
yeah.
Chicago. That's not true. I have one
Okay.
friend in Chicago, and the pays are kind of higher, really higher, because
Hmm.
the cost of living there is higher. But
It's also higher. Yeah.
yeah, but something you have to understand as well is that he works way more. He works a lot. That's crazy. He doesn't have
Mm,
any life. He goes he commutes 1 hour every morning, 1 hour every night. It's a competition. People don't take vacation. People want to
mm,
work. If they take vacation, they're like, oh, it's not seen really well. I don't want to take vacation. They actually pay people to take vacation. Like you get an extra
yeah.
$400 if you take 1 week of
Uh,
vacation, which is not really my motto. My motto is like work less, like Do four
Mm,
days a week if you can, and just enjoy life. Like I saw, like the Justin Wells, like if you work your whole life to be happy after 65 years old, doesn't make any sense. So
mm,
yeah, I don't
mm.
stress it too much on salary. I just want to be happy with the life I live. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just wanted to also provide some,
Hmm.
disclose some information regarding CFA, as well. Like, I totally agree with you, David. We're currently comparing basically an apple with a pear. Like it's not. We're not saying CPA makes more than a CFA or CFA is more than a
Yeah.
CPA. Really, it's it really depends on so many different factors when it comes to pay. And I think if I think I also share my story regarding my pay in some of my other YouTube videos as well. So
Hmm.
I grew my income, like everything, let's say talking USD terms. My first year salary in 2015 is it's about 30K USD.
Hmm.
And then it keeps growing, I think 40, 50. And actually, over the past 10 years, it grew to 180K, including bonus, like my last year's salary, roughly 180. So it's really a few folds. But I would say it's mainly because I'm not saying like you are more or less is because of CFA CPA. Again, I think since I was in Hong Kong at the very beginning, that's
Hmm.
that's pretty much that's the premium that the city of
Yeah.
Hong Kong provides you. So I mean, just to give you put things into perspective, if you rent maybe 20 square meter flats in the city of Hong Kong, 20 square meter, it can easily cost you 3,000 USD per month.
Wow.
So I mean that's really the case in Hong Kong and also Zurich, right? Like we joked about it last time. I'll just order a McDonald's. It costs you probably 20 to 30 USD already here in Zurich. So
Hmm.
again, it doesn't mean CPA or CFA makes more than the other. I think the city, the countries where you live in, they make a huge difference. And also,
Yeah.
your work experience, which company it is, which industry
Yeah.
it is, your soft skills, your hard skills. I
Oh
would
yeah,
say really
100%.
CFA, CPA, at least in my case, it plays a part. It definitely, make people feel like, oh, you take it serious, you take finance serious, you take investments serious. But
Yeah.
the salary increase is really because that I have a CFA, I'm a CFA charter holder, or CPA. I don't think that's the case. So that's
Hmm.
the thing, the point that I wanted to mention
Yeah.
as well. And it's good you mentioned the work-life balance.
Yeah.
So I think I do have a lot of friends who are like study accounting
Hmm.
in school, like, and then of course a lot of them they pursue CPA after school and then they join Big Four. I think across the board, I think especially in Hong Kong, I mean, I heard a lot of stories, like my friends share with me that people like work 10 hours, 12 hours every day is the norm. And then
Yeah.
but the pay, especially at the very beginning, is it's not much, it's little.
Hmm.
And they keep I keep hearing this kind of stories. But again, I think a key trend, or just like observation that I have, one observation that I have is that after year 3, year 4, if you are a CPA, at least in Hong Kong, that I would say there will be some really big jump
Yeah.
after 3, 4 years, like quite similar to what you share with us just now as well.
Yeah, and I can bounce on this a little bit. Like I think it really
Mm,
depends where you are in life and what you want to do. Like if I have three kids and a wife and stuff,
mm,
I don't want this job of being like in a big four accounting firm. But back then I was 22 years old. All I had to do is
mm,
work on my career and and gather as
Mm,
much information and learn as from people with experience. That's all I
mm.
had to do, and it's not worse than what I'm doing right now. It's just that I'm not working for myself, and I see it
Mm.
that you work like long hours and you don't get
Yeah.
paid a lot by the hours. It's exactly what I'm doing right now. I'm repeating it again
Yeah,
because I'm building
definitely.
something.
Yeah,
Uh,
you
but
definitely. Let's talk about this even,
yeah,
more later on. I think that's really
sure.
something you wanted to, you know, from accountant, right? From an auditor
Yeah,
or accountant at Big Four to an in-house corporation, and
yeah,
then David quit his job and became a full-time YouTuber.
yeah,
So yeah, maybe let's just talk about it now. What really motivated you,
yeah.
to make
So
this. It's a big decision, right? In your career,
yeah.
in anyone's career, you just quit.
hmm
Tell
So
us
I
more
can,
about it.
yeah, I can give a little bit of backstory. Like, so I started 3 years in a Big Four accounting firm. I went 2 years in a video game company, and where I really did the switch from auditor to FP&A, so financial planning analysis. I was doing a lot of charts, a lot of budgeting, a lot of Excel. Like way more Excel than auditing. Then I
Mm,
swapped after 2 years in that video game company. I went to Polka, which is a startup in tech, and I was the FP&A manager, which means I was making all the board decks, I was making the budget, I was making, okay, how much should we pay these people in the budget, how much cash burn do we burn every month, every year. I was doing the budget, the board decks, and all of that, very like executive level presentation. And I started really enjoying and really getting better at Excel. So I had 3 jobs where I learned from
mm,
really different people on Excel. I was like, oh, people are asking me to do Excel. I'm saving whole day to like VPs that earn really high salaries. So I'm
mm,
bringing a lot of value here. That was the thing. Like, oh, I have a skill set and I have a business skill set as well. Like we raised 30 million in financing venture capital at my previous job. I was the one in charge of all the Excel, all the files. I was on call with the investors. Same 3 years after we sold the same company for more than $200 million. So we exit the company.
mm,
I was in charge of making all the decks. Once again, I was on the calls. So I was like, okay, I think I have a value here, like, and I
mm,
really love the company. The guys were amazing. They actually found my brand name, which I call the piggy bank accountant.
mm.
We brainstormed it together. So I started a YouTube channel while being part-time, because when I woke up in the morning, I saw videos from Miss Excel. So she's my inspiration. She did like TikTok videos and teaching people Excel, and was like, I could do something similar, except not dancing, but be myself. So I started with the pig hat here, which I started with
If
the
you
pig
want
hat
to
here.
dance with it, no.
So yeah, I had a Twitch channel before, like gaming
Mm,
while filming yourself. So I was
mm,
a little bit techie. I had this pig hat on my head, which my mom made. I brought it to Excel. Maybe not the best idea because it was more like
mm,
professional world. But from there, I made my YouTube channel. And when I was waking up in the morning, like I was waking at 5, I was like, I have a video idea. I need to do it right now. So I was
yeah,
going with I have some
yeah,
videos. I have
yeah.
my deep voice. I'm like, hey, what's up?
Mm,
I'm David. I just woke up, and I did like
mhm.
Excel videos. So that started
Okay.
from there. We exit the company. We sold the company. I got a package because I was into it, and I was like, guys, I'm doing full-time videos. Like, let's try to launch a business online on Microsoft Excel, and now more lately with Microsoft Copilot. I'm jumping on this AI trend, and I'm trying to master the tool and teach it to people. So that's what I do.
Mm,
I give Excel classes, Excel advice if you need some, and Microsoft Copilot
no,
teaching.
that's
So
really cool. So
so
if
yeah,
I can summarize it, the key takeaways is that do you feel like you feel the job, or no, not job anymore, the work that you're currently doing brings you more meaning or purpose, and then you truly believe it's a great business idea. It makes sense business
yeah,
wise as well.
y- yeah,
And
and
three, maybe you didn't really enjoy. I mean, like you didn't really
yeah.
enjoy the corporate job that much.
I was getting tired a little bit. You're absolutely
Mm,
right. When you take a week of vacation, you come back and you're not fired up, and then you take one more week, a month after, and you come back and you're not that fired
mm,
up. Maybe before going into depression and burnout, you're like, okay, it's time to find something else. And it takes time to find something else. If I can understand some people can't make the decision I made because they have kids to feed and stuff. So I
mm.
would advise like like try to feel it coming. Like
Yeah.
you're getting tired, don't wait until you're like at the end of the bridge. Like you don't need to
Mm,
jump, you need take a step back and then find something before being completely tired and completely burned out. So yeah, I feel like right now it was the right decision for me at this point in my life. I wanted to learn many new skills. I
mm,
did. I'm now great at Canva. I'm great at making videos. I'm learning a lot on marketing automation. I'm learning a lot on
mm.
copywriting. I'm developing all these skills I will have never developed. And if I ever go back to corporate world, I will have these skills. It's an investment I'm making in myself right now, and I'm meeting a
Exactly.
lot of
All
great
around,
people.
it's really all around, skill set.
Yeah. And we will have never talked if I didn't make this move. And I met
It
so many
is.
other great people. So that's
Across the
so nice.
world in Zurich, Switzerland. Do you have any
Yeah.
other friends in Zurich before or in?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so yeah, that's really really cool. And now I think I really could see, as a chartered professional accountant, CPA, you can work in Big Four, you can work in corporate, you can also be a YouTuber. There's so many
Yeah.
different possibilities. And
Uh-huh.
talking about successful professional, or after completing CPA,
Uh-huh.
do you also have some other, for example, case studies of some other successful professionals who have advanced their career with CPA certifications? That's so great. You just mentioned your own journey, but within this CPA domain, any other names or famous names, or anyone around you, your friends, families, any cases that you could share with
Yeah.
us also?
Yeah, so in Canada we have different state, I would say. So we have Quebec. So
Mm-hmm.
there's like a federal government and there's a provincial government. So the provincial head of the government, the prime minister, is actually a CPA. He started
Huh.
he started a flying, not a flying, but a plane company a while ago with a friend, or he was like a co-founder, I think. It's called Air Transat. It's a huge flying company here, huge plane
Mm.
company. And so he started that, and now he's a prime minister in Quebec for a few years now, actually.
Yeah,
So
what's
so
his
yeah,
name again?
François Legault.
Ah, cool.
François
So he's
Legault.
currently the prime minister.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope I'm not having this right. It's been a while. I didn't have a look at that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah,
now I wanted to say, after completing CPA, you
yeah.
can work for a big four corporation, YouTuber, you can also be a prime minister.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know if he held this title. I don't think he kept it,
Mm,
but he was one. I just validated real quick to be sure.
okay.
There's another one in Quebec that is actually now more like
Mm,
he's at the radio and stuff, and he talks a lot about finance. So he's like a public figure. He made some books like "Do You Really Need This?" Like that kind of
mm,
books, like where he talks like, so you buy something, if you really need it, yes, but like, do you really need it? That's his book. He got
mm,
famous for that. He's called Pierre-Yves McSween. I actually want to meet him at some point. Uh, Maybe eventually, but he's a
yeah,
Quebec guy that is a CPA, and really, he
okay.
democratizes finances and everything. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are just CPA, people in politics. It's just a path that you have to take so many decisions, and you're always in the business decisions, and you're like, and you find a way to you just find a way to do stuff. Like you find a
Mm,
solution and whatever it is, and you're just going to figure it out. I think we're and really young in our career when we go to big four accounting firm, we're confronted to those kinds of situation that you're 23 years old, and you need to talk to a president of a company, and you need to ask him about his financial statements, and the truth is you don't understand them, or
yeah.
half of them, and you're asking questions to presidents or VPs. So it it shapes who you are, it shapes your professionalism and how you talk to
Mm.
people, and you're stressed out, you want to piss your pants, like you're like, I don't want to talk to the president. I'm 23 years old, but you need to
Oh
go and you
gosh,
need to get the
yeah.
job done, so you do it, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I think compared with CPA, for CFA, actually, I'm not too sure. Are there any really famous like politicians, or maybe I just like didn't recall anything. But it's so cool that we realized that for CPA, you can actually do a lot of things after completing it. And
Hmm.
David, I have one more question about
Yeah.
currently it's about economic impact. So currently, we talk about across the board. We talk about economy slowdown in economy, right, across the globe. And then, at the end of the day, you learn it, and in CPA, I learned in CFA, there are different economic cycles, in this world. So it's always ups and downs. So I would say for CFAs, now in terms of asset management, in the asset management industry, there are active managers, there are passive managers, and hedge funds, investment
Hmm.
banking, for example, different kind of roles, industry plays. So what I wanted to share, for CFA, for asset management industry or banking industry overall, when there's a downward, trend in economy, for example, some jobs like investment banking, or maybe hedge funds, like they tend to perform. I would say there can be some, for example, layoffs. So my question for you is that, how do economic cycles impact CPA,
Hmm.
like in impact accounting? So I assume, because every company you need accounting, you need auditing,
Yeah.
right? So I believe it has limited impact on accountants' jobs overall. What do you think? What is your
Yeah.
take?
Yeah, I mean, on the internal sides of thing, like finding a job for me, it will be really easy to go back to corporate world, especially in Quebec. We have a lot of insurance companies that need a lot of accountants, boring jobs, but still, if I ever
Okay.
want to, I can go back. That's on the internal side of things, but I think on the external side of things, like the services of CPA, as you said, we're into a recession when it's hard to hire stuff people, and when it's hard to sell, you will need an accountant to advise you, like, hey, I need cash flow provisions right now, or predictions, because right now it's hard and I don't know how many people I need to lay off,
Fine. Oh,
because
okay.
I don't have, yeah, because I don't have enough money. I need your
Mm,
help. I am having financial difficulties right now, could you give me advice? My accounting is a mess, what do
mm.
I do? I need
Okay.
help on income taxes, during specific periods. I need to get the best results, the best return. What am I going to do? You're my auditor for 10 years now. I need help right now because my
Mm.
business, it's not going very well. Right now,
So
there's a
are
lot of
you trying to say that actually it's an increase in demand for
oh yeah,
CPAs when there is a
100%.
market down? Oh, okay.
100%. And like right now, it's a lot of M&A. So we see people getting older, trying to sell their companies to their kids and stuff, who they
Mm,
need
mm,
to help them in their financial transaction, CPAs, lawyers, brokers. So yeah, that's that's true right now. And at the era of like being more productive, CPAs are can be also business analysts a little bit. So understand your
mm,
process, your
mm,
flows. You want to save money, we can probably help you being more productive with the AI. Let me have a look
mm,
at your organization, where the data flows and stuff. We understand like the business side of things, so we can help you be more productive and be more efficient. That's how I see. Actually, that's how I see myself. Like, I'll make you a great dashboard so you can follow what's your business KPI, what's important to follow.
mm,
And
mm,
yeah, so
mm.
so many stuff. I could keep going and going. It's the
Okay.
job of a CPA.
Yeah, that's really cool that you share this, because I do see some kind of impact or negative impact on investments job overall, or banking investments job overall, when there is a downward trend in the economy.
Mhm.
So I think it's encouraging, right? If you want to really pursue, you have a passion for this, for CPA, for accounting, overall. Just lastly, before I
Yeah.
let you go, David, give us one piece of genuine advice for those people who are pursuing CPA, and then I will share CFA for CFA as well.
Yeah, so if you are working in a big four accounting firm or wherever you work, I
Mm-hmm.
would say put your limits because I've always put my limits, and by limits it's mean like try to say no sometime. If you don't feel like it, you were paid
Mm-hmm.
40 hours a week, you don't need to do 60. If you did 50 already, that's fine. You don't need to go the extra mile because you don't want to burn out. And yes, while you can give all you can, it's okay to sometimes say, sorry, but this weekend I want to spend it with my wife, with my kids, or my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fine to say no. You won't lose your job. You won't be less valued by your colleagues. It's fine. They know that you're there 99% of the time. If that 1% you can't be there, it's
Mm-hmm.
100% fine. I think it applies for everything. Like, if you know you're ready for that exam, if you're at school, you studied enough, you did all whatever you want, you're better off taking a great night of sleep instead of going up until 3 a.m. being tired. Sleep is
Mm-hmm.
so important. And one thing, if I could add, do sports. I was not doing any
Okay,
sports before,
sports,
and it oxygen your
sports.
brain. Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah.
Sports,
I
say no, and
sleep,
I can't remember the other
sleep,
one. Sleep.
sleep.
Yeah, that's it. It's true. I mean, get some sun. It's so good. That's
Yeah,
the vibe it gives you.
yeah. I think
What about
from
you?
my
Yeah.
yeah, from my perspective, I would say for those people who are pursuing CFA, I think I totally agree that it's I think at the end of the day, it's all about priority. I think for CFA, most of people, like we mentioned, you have your full-time job, right? You have probably some of them, you have your family, maybe you have your kids, I don't know. And if you really want to balance, work life balance, and then you have your CFA, and you want to have some meaningful connections with your network, with your colleagues and friends, and you want to have enough sleep, you want to be really
Hmm.
honest, it's impossible. Trust me, I got really depressed, if I have to admit that I was
Hmm.
really depressed over those months when I was especially for when I was preparing for level 2 CFA level 2. So my advice for those people who are pursuing these two certificates is you have to give up on something.
Hmm.
But I would say sleep is important,
Yeah.
and your job, of course, I'm not asking you to just like quit your job, of course, no, but maybe, yeah, prioritization. You cannot do everything in a perfect way if you really want to do
Yeah.
CFA. Yeah, give up on drinks, maybe, or
Yeah.
networking events. That's something that I did, but yeah, everything is about prioritization and giving up in the meantime.
Hmm.
Great. Thank you so much, David. I'm so happy to have you today. Do you have any last words or anything that you think is quite important that you want our audience to know,
No,
or
thank you
where
for
can
having.
we contact you?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to plug actually. Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really active on LinkedIn. My two platforms are LinkedIn and YouTube. I'm trying to make the best videos out there on the different topics. Most of my topics are Microsoft Copilot, so the AI of Microsoft. My topics are Microsoft Excel as well. I'm starting to build courses. I have some courses available on these two topics, and I talk a lot. I'm starting to do some kind of interviews and podcasts with professionals like Charlene. So follow me on LinkedIn. I type a lot there. I'm trying to improve my copywriting skills, trying to tell you those crazy stories because I have a lot of them. So that's it. Yeah, what you see is what you get
Okay.
right now. So if you enjoy the vibe, just find me on the socials that Charlene will probably put in the links.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Thank you so much,
Cool.
David. And
Thank
then I
you.
really learned a lot from your experience and from your
Likewise.
sharing as well. So yeah, I'll see you